Okay, so we're gonna do a top producer interview with Cesar Lacayo. He was a new agent with us back in August 2014 when our Kendall office opened up. And by February of 2015,
Yeah.
just about,
Mhm.
he reached the 1.2 million. So he made it to the 100%.
Awesome.
He's considered one of our top producing agents, and we're gonna go ahead and interview him so you guys can have some suggestions and you can ask him questions about how he made it and what steps he took. Okay? So Cesar, how long have you been in the business?
For about a year and 5 months.
And how do you organize your workday?
I start by collecting my files and calling my clients if you have any files going on. That's how I start my day.
Okay, what's your specialty?
Residential.
And in your opinion, what's more important to do first, branding or farming?
I say branding.
And why?
Because you reach out to your sphere of influences first, and then you associate yourself as being a realtor, and then that helps you as being recognized as a realtor, so people start thinking about you as a realtor. And then
Okay.
you can do the farming.
And how did you do the branding, for example? Like, what steps did you do for branding?
I called all my sphere of influences. I first got my business cards too. I emailed them. I text messaged everybody. I made at your family gatherings. Whenever here's my business card. That's how I would start.
How long did it take you to close your first transaction?
3 months.
And where'd you get that lead from?
Sphere of influences.
Okay. Would you say your customers are your direct sphere or people that they know?
People that they know.
Okay. Excuse me. How many prospecting phone calls do you average per day, and what type of business do you target?
Right now, 5 to 10, and it's residential. But when I was like you guys just starting, I was on the phones every day. And if I wasn't on the phones, I was talking to somebody.
Do you feel you would be as efficient working from home?
No.
Okay.
You get lazy.
Mhm.
And what's your opinion about open houses and brokers opens?
I would definitely go to it. Believe it or not, I ended up getting a deal from there. I think it was October, just by knowing one of the mortgage brokers there, and they shot me a deal just by showing up. So you never know what's gonna happen in an open house, or a broker's open house. So I always go.
Did you ever consider working with a mentor?
I didn't. I knew the field a little bit, but if you guys, don't feel as comfortable with some of the stuff, I would, consider a mentor. But I didn't need a mentor.
How many board classes do you recommend be taken on a monthly basis?
Anywhere from 2 to 4. If you guys aren't familiar with Matrix, that Matrix is a 3-course thing that I would consider taking it, and just become familiarized with Matrix. Matrix is basically where you make your money from.
At what point should you hire an assistant, or do you really need one in today's market?
I wouldn't hire an assistant. The only time that I feel you need an assistant is if you're overwhelmed with work and you can't handle the phone calls and you're prospecting.
Cesar is one of the examples that I use when I interview, and I had talked to you specifically when I interviewed you. Cesar was one of his very first appointments. He had 2 different buyers he was working with on the same day, and he had an appointment in the morning and one again in the afternoon. When he showed the first buyer the property, he called me and he says, "Okay, I have a problem." I said, "Okay, what's the problem?" He said, "I just showed a property, the buyer wants to write an offer on this property, but I'm supposed to be at another property with another buyer. What do? I don't wanna lose this deal." I said, "Send me the information, we'll go ahead and prepare the contract for you." By the time he finished showing that second property, his contract on the first one was already written and on its way to the buyer for signature. Okay? Do you need an assistant? If you are not organized, if you are overwhelmed, if you are going to be on the road a lot, then yes, you wanna have an assistant to be able to answer those calls so you don't lose any leads and you don't lose any potential customers. However, here at Realty World South Florida, you do have the backing of the office. You have myself, Suhel, and Mike that are always available to you to assist in anything that we can to ensure that you guys get on that road to success and you do make money and become the next top producer, okay? How do you determine if a lead is better off being referred to another agent?
Well, one, if it's in the area that you live in, obviously that's good for you. But if you don't have any work, then you keep all the leads for yourself. But if you have enough work to where you're busy and you don't think you can attend to that client, refer the client to another realtor. That's how I would.
Okay, does that make sense? I've had agents here that have told me, okay, I have a customer that wants to purchase or they wanna sell in Jacksonville. Do you wanna drive to Jacksonville? If you have that listing, you might have to go over there to inspect the property, to maybe show a buyer the property. Is that something you wanna do? Is that an investment you wanna make? If you do, then you do not need to refer it. If you don't, then it would be good for you to refer it and make at least a referral commission as opposed to losing the customer altogether. Okay? Have you incorporated?
Have have I incorporated?
Yes,
Um,
Sky Blue.
yes, I have an LLC, and I did that to protect myself in case there's a lawsuit or whatever. I would recommend that. It's about $300 from a CPA.
Okay. Earlier this month, I'm not sure if you guys had the opportunity to attend, we had Tax Care Services come out and they explained to us the differences about incorporating, whether you should be an LLC, a PA, the reasons why, the tax reasons to do that as well. So in that aspect, we do recommend that you talk to your tax accountant and consider your options as to what would work out better for you, okay? At this time, do you guys have any questions for Caesar?
Pretty long
No,
question
that's,
right there.
that's a pretty good, solid plan. Do you have like a calendar that you write down?
Well, at the beginning, the way I started, when I started working, I would grab a calendar and I would give myself times, because you don't wanna call somebody too early in the morning, 9 o'clock, cause nobody wants to hear trying to get sold on,
Right.
think about it as yourself. Do you want a phone call at 9 o'clock? Tell me,
Right.
oh, do you wanna buy a house? No, you wait till like 10, 12 o'clock, and that's when you start your day.
Yeah.
So with the calendar, I did do that at the beginning, but now it's just, a force of habit.
Right.
With the files and clients, I usually call any clients in the afternoon, not in the morning. For as far as for prospecting and trying to get new business.
And that ties into that section that we covered in the binder as well, that talks about your daily plan. Realistically speaking, are you gonna work from 10 to 2, or are you gonna work from 12 to 5? When you create that habit and you're consistent about making those phone calls and following up with your leads, whether they be seller leads or buyer leads, then that's gonna eventually create the business for you.
So, do you have like once you get, you have a lead,
Yes.
so how do you follow up with that lead on a daily basis?
No, prime example, I had a client that I just closed on a file and he's referring me another client, right? Okay, so that client wants to buy a townhouse. I've been talking to the client that I closed, which is my client, and the one he's referring me, his friend. I've been talking to the client since Thursday. He says that the client's gonna call me, so I called him on Thursday, I called him on Friday, I called on Saturday, 3 days in a row, and I'm not gonna keep bothering, so I
Right.
let him call me. You get it? Because I haven't got his phone number. The ideal situation is to get the phone number from the client, but
Right.
sometimes they don't wanna give you the phone number, they wanna give their friend the opportunity to call you. So
Yeah.
sometimes you gotta learn to put the brakes too.
Right. Okay. At the end of the day, it's just
Mhm.
closing. When you have that deal, you have that showing,
Mhm.
it's when to get that commitment to get that signature, right?
Yeah, but with me, I'm very honest. So when I go to a property, some realtors don't take this approach, but I put myself in their shoes, because at the end of the day, they're gonna live in the property for 7 years, 10 years. So if you like the property, you can give your opinion or weigh what you think about the property. But the same thing, if you don't like the property, or you see something, roof damage or whatever, point it out so the client can see that you're genuine and you have their best interest in mind. Because if you don't have the best interest in mind, they're gonna notice that and they're gonna say, oh, this guy just wants to sell me a property and get on with his life.
That's right.
No, so you have to pay attention to the clients and their needs. So if you genuinely see something that you like, express what you like about the property. So that way maybe you can connect on a one-on-one level. It's usually the women that are more picky with the house. The men just follow the women rules, so
Yes.
talk to the women.
That's true.
To
Honestly
tap
speaking.
into that as well, though,
So-
yes, say what you like about the property, yes, if you see something negative that could potentially cause a problem for the customer at the property, yes. But we go back to the orange house example. If there's an orange home and you don't like the orange home, do not point out that you don't like the orange home, because that might be the home they like. We all have our own likes and dislikes, so you are gonna point out what you see that may be potentially a problem. So if you do see a roof leak, or you do see that there might be a possible, maybe a room that may not be
Violation.
permitted or violation of some sort, yes, it is, your job to let them know, because customers don't know, that's why they hire a realtor. Okay, so those things do point out, but your personal or negative opinions, don't,
Yeah.
okay?
If the house is orange, say it can be painted whatever color you want
Yeah.
to help out the situation. So you gotta be quick on your feet too about that.
And your schedule, what is your schedule?
My schedule, I'm usually here by 8:30, 9 o'clock in the morning, and I leave by 4. I used to leave by 5, but it's a little bit more traffic, so I go pick up my kids, but those who have kids
It's a
understand.
normal schedule.
Hmm?
Normal.
Yeah, normal schedule, 8:30 to 4, 8:30 to 5, depending. Like today I have to go show property at 5:30, so I made arrangements to go show property.
Yeah.
You make all your phone calls from here, basically.
Pretty
Or
much,
you
yeah.
used to when you started, basically.
Or my phone call started at 8 o'clock this morning from the car. So I don't wait to get to the office. So if you have something on your mind or an inspection or something, get it out the way. You know, that's following up on your clients and your files, what's going on with your clients. But for prospecting, don't call them so early. Call them like maybe lunchtime, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock. Because everybody doesn't wake up at 7, 8 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
So,
And he does come into the office even now, every day, Monday through Friday. He is usually here between 8:30 and 4, like you said. But what'll happen is throughout the course of the day, if a customer calls him that they wanna go see a property, he takes that time to go see the property, to go show the property.
Yeah.
If there's an inspection, he'll do that too. So it doesn't necessarily mean you have to be in the office from 9 to 4, Monday through Friday, but it does give you the availability so that if I get a walk-in customer, you can pick up that walk-in. Okay? Cause if you're not here, I do rotate down the roster at this time.
It's really better, I hate to impose on people, but, you know, like I say, you know, it's better to I can't myself work out of the house. Like I
Yeah, I
agree
agree.
with him. At home, you just get too many
You become
distractions.
non-productive. I think in the
Right.
house you
Yeah.
get so like,
distracted.
am I working or not? You know,
Mhm.
say you are in that ambivalent world.
Right, it keeps you organized and it gives you more availability to be able to capture more work when you're here in the office. If I get a floor call, if there's a walk-in customer that needs assistance, you're here. You're able to go ahead and help them at that time. Whereas if you're at home, then you have to get ready and then get out, and that delays the customer. And remember, we just went over the fact that you have to respond to the customer within 5 minutes or so at least to capture the lead so that you don't lose them.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you're here, you have that immediate contact with them and you can begin to build that rapport.
Yeah, you need to take out the dog and whatever.
Any other questions for Caesar? No?
Awesome, Cesar, congratulations.
Thank you, Caesar, for your time.
Keep up the good work.